Kerbal News, year 23, day 10, 5 hours, 35 minutes. The Kerbals prepare for their excursion to Duna with a brand new invention, the helicopter. With all the grace of the newborn ostrich, the helicopter goes upward, leaving the Kerbals feeling confident that this helicopter will work on Duna, saving fuel in the long run. After a successful test of the helicopter, Valentina takes off in a jet, ready to test the level 3 scanning arm on the native baobab tree. Parking next to the baobab tree is easy, as Valentina nudges forward ever so carefully to get the arm within range, with a little shake, rattle, and roll. The level 3 scanning arm deploys as expected, taking core and bark samples from the baobab. The boys back at the lab will love to get their hands on Kerbin's wood. Adding a little more flair to her flair, Valentina is not satisfied with just a standard landing, so she tests the structural capacity of the jet. Everything go! Are the Kerbals finally up to the challenge of placing a Kerbal on the Dunan surface? Will the helicopter prove fruitful? Stay tuned to find out.
Hello again, ladies and gentlemen, Saka here, and welcome back to another episode of Kerbal Space Program. And when we last left off, we tested our helicopter, and I did some refining, got it nice and stable in a vertical ascent. It definitely can't pivot to the left and right, but as long as we have a straight up ascent, we should be fine. And now I've gotten us within a Duna transfer window, and it is time to go to Duna. And on top of all that, we are going to look for blueberries on Duna to bring back with us. We are going Kerbal Crude, and we are going to land Jebediah, Bill, and Bob back on Duna for the first time. They're going back to Duna and actually landing if everything goes well. So I've built a monstrosity of a rocket, and I will show you in just a moment. So ladies and gentlemen, here it is. A massive bottom section with these engines here, the vectors, as well as a central skipper. Whoops. We also have, let me get my struts back up. Boop. Yeah. And we also have 4 SRBs and 4 external tanks powered by skippers as well. Then we have a transfer stage here. Then our nuclear transfer stage here. And here is that helicopter under the fairing. And as you can see, I folded up the rotors to where they go straight up, or as reasonably straight as possible, with our little rover, our little seat, lander can, and I decided to bring Valentina along as well, so she can stay in this particular command pod while the Intrepid 3, while 2 go down. It's important to have a pilot, and extra stuff, extra crew can't hurt. So let's go ahead and launch this bad boy and see if we can get into space. So there she is. We are strutted up, ready to go. SAS on. Full power, 3, 2, 1, let's go! Off to Duna. Well, possibly off to Duna. Very slowly, but we are getting off the launch pad. Now, as soon as we start picking up speed and we pitch over to the 90, we're going to really start hauling the mail here. And then it's just a question of what drops off. Right now we have the... Okay, let's switch these solid rocket boosters. We're actually going to need the SRBs to detach first. Those guys. Nope, I got that backwards. Yeah, we need those guys there. So as soon as we lose that solid fuel, we'll be able to detach those and continue on our merry way. And this thing is a beast for sure. All right, something like that. Hold there, please. All right, boosters. Thank you for your work. So off they go, continuing to pick up speed. Then pretty soon we are going to lose these outer tanks and just be on sheer center stage. But that center stage will be nice and full. It'll still have a full tank in it. We have those fuel lines running into it. We just need a lot of speed, man. Yeah, we need to pitch over to the 90 here and really start getting some lateral speed once we're about 10K. Hopefully we'll have clean separation here. Easy does it, and off they go. Don't kill me. So they hit the center stage, but we are alive and kicking. Come on, Vectors. Dang it! All right, ladies and gentlemen, believe it or not, we do have an orbit around Kerbin. It took me a few times for sure, but an 87 by 74. So we are not going in the atmosphere anymore. It is now time to shed the protective shell. Scoosh. And there we go. There is our helicopter lander ready to go. We can extend those solar panels as well. Get as much sunlight in this beast as we can, and we can go ahead and try to plot our next approach to Duna. So I will go ahead and get a maneuver node set up and be right back. All right, we're going to have to catch up to Duna just a little bit, I believe, but we're right there on the mark. 1,000 meters a second is the way we need to go. It's going to be a 2-minute burn or thereabouts, and the thing with this rocket is it is very, let's just say wobbly is the best way to put it, because it is just so long, and, you know, we need to take care whenever we hit the gas. That is for sure. So we'll use this last 362 meters a second for, you know, just this initial pass, and if we have to go around again, we certainly can. Let's just speed this up just a little bit. 2 times physical acceleration. We don't want the parts to break, and right before we get going, I'll do another quick save for safety. That is for sure. Several quick saves had to be loaded for this mission, but we should be able to get out to Duna, use a little bit of fuel. I mean, we've got 2,300 meters per second there in reserve, and landing on Duna isn't going to take up too much. We're going to aero brake and use the parachutes that we brought to actually get a hold of Duna. And I will do this burn, and hopefully it will be successful, so I will be right back. All right, 0.8 meters a second off. The maneuver is done. SAS off. We are on track to leave the sphere of influence of Kerbin, and we have 421 meters a second left in this particular stage. Let's go ahead and turn prograde if we can, and fine-tune this to where we can get our apoaps a little bit higher. And we won't need much, that is for sure. All right, there our apoaps is climbing until we can get a good approach. So there we go. That is the first time we see it. Now we are just below Duna, really. It almost seems worth it to lower our apoaps a little bit more and catch up to it, and then meet it. We can't afford to go around again. Let me finagle with these maneuver nodes and see if we can sort of brute force an approach, and what kind of delta V that would take. All right, there's our Duna approach with a 700 meter a second change. What that's going to do is use up 400. It's going to use all of this up, and then we'll start using the interstellar stage, which is more than enough, I believe. It's going to be a 5-minute, 30-second burn, though, but we didn't go full throttle with it. So I don't know, burn with a minute to go or something like that, but what really matters is we'll be using this interstellar stage for only this amount to get to Duna in the first place. If we can aero brake and slow down, we'll have more than enough fuel, I believe. So let's go ahead out to the maneuver node and do it. All right, time acceleration complete. Ready for the maneuver in 3, 2, 1, burn. Nice. So the helicopter is doing okay. You can sort of see it there, but I think it's being held in place by just the sheer force of us accelerating. We need to get ready to separate if we can. And then we'll be on this interstellar stage. Once again, the center of thrust will be closer to the center of mass, so we should be nice and stable as we get rid of this section. And 2,000 meters a second left, and we'll use about 300 of it. And there we go, shield broken away, the nuclear engine is kicking off in that orange tank, and now we are 275 meters a second away from a good maneuver. All right, because we're basically pointing right radial in, we'll just turn off this maneuver node and watch from the map screen as our closest approach gets nearer and nearer. And we're doing this right on our ascending node, and we're only 0.1 degrees off anyway. So this is what is allowing us to basically shorten up the orbit. I mean, it's taken a lot, but we have a very efficient engine propelling us forward. The meters a second really isn't dropping. If we can lower our periaps down to the dune and atmosphere and aerobrake, we can essentially be captured with little to no extra fuel used. So I'll go ahead and capture here and be right back with you. All right, just gingerly walking in our periaps here. We're at 1/4 throttle, and I'm burning anti-normal to bring this orbit down. And I don't know where we're going to end up. I want to go equatorial and probably easterly. So as soon as we get right about there, let's actually try to burn. Let's see if prograde would work. Allow us to pick up speed and get to the other side of Duna, perhaps. I want to come in from west to east and do a lap around that way. So we'll see if this would work. Yeah, we actually have an encounter. There we go. I was going to say we had an encounter with Ike. Very, very small. 33,000 meters, something like that. So we are all set for approaching Duna in an almost equatorial. I could get a little bit more finicky and go anti-normal, drop this down just a skosh, which I believe I shall, and it's only a matter of time before we enter Duna's sphere of influence. We can get back to work on science, get as much science as we can from high above Duna when we enter its sphere of influence in however many days, and get close to Duna, low Duna orbit, something like that. So 31K, pretty much equatorial. So that is where we are going to end up. So I will go ahead and fast forward to the approach and see you there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have entered the sphere of influence of Duna, and it is now time for the Duna scramble for sure. Let's go ahead and take a crew report. All right, so we've already got that. We'll reset that experiment. Let's try an EVA report. All right, Valentina, go on EVA if you please. All right, so she's in the lander. EVA report. All right, so we've already done that one. Let's go ahead and board. Let's take a look at our science experiments that we brought with us here. Covered away nicely in the service bay. All right, so we cannot do the seismic data unless we are landed on the planet. We have the scanning module. Oh, that's for ore scanning. Well, we might not have needed to bring that, unfortunately. We also have the Science Junior. Let's observe the materials bay. So 54 science we can grab from that, so we might as well keep that experiment. And then we also have the thermometer around here. Let's go ahead and pick up some temperature and some mystery goo as well. Observe the goo. All right, 23 more science, we will keep it. And where in the gravy did our thermometer go? There it is. Log the temperature, all right. So I will have Bob hop out, grab that data, reset those experiments, and we'll get ready for the Duna entry. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Duna sits high in the sky right there. We have Valentina and Bill in the lander can. We have Jebediah in the command pod. So what we are going to do... Oh, you know what? I just realized something. For the trip, we have to bring back this capsule because Valentina's in here. She can't just hang on for dear life. It shouldn't be too bad, though. Once we separate, we're actually losing everything down here. We're losing the helicopter blades as soon as we take off. We have a docking pod right here and right here, so all of this will be gone too. It shouldn't be that bad. And then when we land, we'll actually have some extra parachutes to land with, so that would be exciting. Can't believe I just thought of that. So we'll see if 30,000 is good enough to deorbit ourselves, or stabilize or get an orbit. We might have to do this several times, but I'll be right back with you. All right, retracting solar panels, we are coming down. I have 25K as the altitude to see if that is a good capture. I don't believe anything is going to burn up in the atmosphere here. It's very thin. So we just basically need to see what happens here as we drop to 25K. 50K is where the atmosphere starts, so there we go. We are now being affected by air resistance. Let's let Sir Isaac Newton do the work, and there we go. I'm not going to time accelerate through this because we do have those floating robotic parts, so we will watch and see. I won't make you sit through it, but we will see if this indeed slows us down enough. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are now out of the atmosphere again. 25K was bang on. We're at a 142 when the dust settles. All we have to do is add a maneuver and we will turn prograde just to get it out of the atmosphere. I don't know if I want to go like the whole ham, but 37 meters a second is all we need to do. So all we have to do is flip around to our maneuver node, get there and burn for 37 seconds, and we will have a stable orbit for our lander section. What I'm going to do as well is transfer fuel from this little pod into this tank, because quite frankly, this little guy will not need liquid fuel. Although, part of me wants to, we have more than enough fuel in here. Matter of fact, let's put that back because I want to make sure that if we have to use engines in this lander, we get that fuel back in order to take off with. It seems like it would be better to have on the lifter than trying to get home. But that's just me. 304, yeah, let's go ahead and just finish that off. And go ahead and get ready for our maneuver, and I will see you for our circularization burn. All right, 37-second burn, engine ignited, and away we go, raising up our periaps above that 50K. That is the hope and goal here. And still have 1,800 meters a second left of Delta V to make it home with, assuming we don't have to do any maneuvers in orbit or anything like that. So there is 55K, good enough. We are out of the atmosphere, 1,700 meters a second left, and now it's time to get the lander down. So we do have 2 Kerbals aboard. Yes, make sure before something bad happens. Yep, Valentina and Bob. Scientist is ready to go. So all we have to do is decouple from here. And then we decouple from here. because that was the shroud. So now, all we have to do, see SAS on, go retrograde, and we sort of move that little... Well, all right, we have good separation now. Valentina and Bob are ready to come down to the surface. In order to get ready, we're going to go ahead and turn prograde, because when we come back around the planet, that is where we're going to be. Next step will be the drogue chutes and then the real parachutes. So essentially, I'm going to add this stage right here so that we don't lose our little orbiter, or our little rover. And yeah, so everything should be clever. Let's go ahead and warp on around, and then dropping into the atmosphere here. Right before we get into the thick of it, I'll retract my solar panel here, because we have to have enough power once we start lifting off. That engine takes a lot of power that, you know, those helicopter engines for sure. Let's turn retrograde. Get ready for insertion now that we're nice and stable. And down we come. So hopefully a smooth landing. Drogue chutes are going to be the first to deploy, and then we've got the main parachutes as well. So hopefully we won't have too much to do as far as engine thrusting goes. All right, so now we're going to get into the thick of it. I'm not going to time accelerate too awful bad because I don't want these flying off. So I will see you when the drogue chutes deploy. Okay, so we kind of flipped around a bit. Let's go prograde. Well. Touchdown. Be good now. Come on. No. You know, I try to be peaceful with this thing, but it's causing me more harm than good. One thing that I did do is attach separatrons and a separator to it, so... Booyah! Off you go! Alright, so parachutes still should be fine. We'll go ahead and extend these solar panels, get a sort of a wind sail going. Landing gear drop. And the parachute should slow us right down. At least one would assume. They would get us righted here. I tried to land with that helicopter, but it was just so off balance that it would just keep tumbling out of the way. And by the time we landed, our Delta V would be fine anyway. Let's SAS, retrograde, and burn hard for the surface. We have plenty of fuel that we can transfer from our little guy into this canister here, so I'm not concerned about fuel at all. We should be fine and dandy indeed. All right, let's go stability assist. Let's see if we can try to bring it straight down if we can. Parachutes should fire shortly. There they go. All right, drogue chutes, do your worst. All right, all well and good. Still slowing down, should be enough time for the big parachutes. Any second now. Big parachutes. There you go. SAS off, coming down. And we'll go ahead and transfer all that fuel. Get it out of our little rover guy. Yeah, 1,100 meters per second. It should be enough to get us airborne and whatnot. And it looks like we're coming down at a pretty flat piece of equipment here. All right, so SAS on retrograde. That'll keep us right on the mark. And then we'll stability assist so it doesn't flip on us. And we will do a controlled descent here. 60 meters, 50 meters, 40 meters, 20 meters, 10 meters. Stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up. Maybe do we give it a little bit of thrust? I tell you what, we'll turn this engine off. Cut. There we go. Booyah, we have sat down on Duna. World's first milestone. We have landed and entered and landed on the surface of Duna. That will more than pay for our little thing. Let's go ahead and transfer all the fuel out of this guy that we can. 1,141 meters. It's a shame. We might be able to try to reconnect this back up so as we make the ascent, we can continue to fuel it and then just dump it. But that is not what we are here to do. We are here to extend the ladder, and Valentina and Bob will make their first steps on Duna without that little whirly bird thingamajiggy. All right, there we go. Valentina, go ahead and EVA. Let's go ahead and get an EVA report. Duna's Highlands, nice, 128 science, keep experiment, store that data. Let's give a crew report from here. From the Highlands, 80 science, keep. Sweet. All right, EVA. And then we shall take the data and store the data. All right, down we go to plant the flag. We can grab a soil, well, we'll let Bob grab the soil sample. And there we go. Valentina is the first Kerbal to set foot on Duna. Let's plant that flag. Sweet. There we go. United Federation of Planets here. Let's see, these were the Highlands. Duna Highlands. I'm not going to put the time or anything such of that nature. All right, go ahead and come on out, Bob. All right, EVA. And Bob is going to grab that soil sample, and also he can grab the science experiments from here, reset them, and get them good to go. Next step, Bob is moseying on over to these blueberries. We have a big contract if we bring these guys back, so indeed we shall. Let's be nice and gentle on the brakes, though. Our solar panel might dig into the Dunan surface here, but we need to get close enough for our scanning arm to get there. So on the brakes, if you please there, Bob. And I don't know if that is close enough. Nope, no target in range. All right, let's just accelerate just a skosh. All right, on the brakes, please, Bob. All right, scan the blueberries. Not enough electric charge. 371 of 500. Yeah, I wasn't counting on that large arm to use that much battery power. You gotta be kidding me. We came all this way, and we don't have enough juice to squeeze the blueberries. Well, I waited until morning just to see if it would do a partial scan, and it does not. So, yeah, this large scanning arm, even though it's amazing, needs a lot of charge. So that will do it for me in this episode, ladies and gentlemen. We still got a crap ton of science. Atmospheric readings, temperature readings, seismic readings, crew reports, EVA reports, soil samples, the 9, all the business. So in the next episode, we'll see if we can make it back to Kerbin. But so like, share, and subscribe if you are so bold. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you for the next Kerbal Space Program video. Take care.